My name is Gianna Carino, and today I'll be giving an informative speech comparing and contrasting cultures of a US-based company versus a similar international-based company. Our US-based company is Peak Completions Technology. It was established in 2003, and it specializes in multilateral completion technologies. They offer a full range of design as well as products, and they have several locations throughout the U.S., with their corporate headquarters being in Midland, Texas. Our international-based company is Schlumberger, and it's located. This one's based out of Saudi Arabia. Schlumberger is the world-leading provider of technologies for reservoir characterizations, drillings, productions, and processing to the oil and gas industry. They have more than 100,000 employees representing over 140 nationalities, and they operate in more than 85 countries. So as you can tell, that they are no stranger to diversity and having to accommodate different culture norms. However, for this presentation, we're going to focus on the location of Saudi Arabia. So how do they compare? Other than both companies being in the oil and gas industry, both companies offer a diversity in their staffing. Peak Completions currently has employees located from Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, Nepal, India, and more. And as mentioned earlier, Schlumberger has over 100,000 employees that are represent over 140 different nationalities. They compare also in policy, as a personal interview with Mr. Romero, a former operations manager for Schlumberger. He states that global policy remains the same across the board. The policy for how the company is ran is set by owners and the board of directors, and it's the same whether you are in a U.S. location or an international location. Policy is policy. How do they contrast? Well, they contrast by their social customs, their style of dress. Saudi Arabia and U.S. are very different, and you can tell by the way that businesses are ran and operated. And they also contrast in their formalities. The social customs. So as everyone knows, Saudi Arabia is located in the Middle East, and sorry, I just got lost for a second. Saudi Arabia is located in the Middle East, and this region is a large majority religion is Muslim. The rules of the Muslim religion, they don't just outline the spiritual rituals, but they also outline their day-to-day rituals. So not just who to pray to, how to pray, or when to pray, but also what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. And so you can tell that this religion really shapes and forms the cultural norms and social customs. So I'll give you an example. Ladies, do you like being able to drive, knowing that you're allowed to just hop in your vehicle and go and do whatever you want?
Yes.
Well, until recently, June 2000 of this year to be exact, women were not allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. So, so Schlumberger, globally across the board, their policy is to be an equal opportunity employer, and they pride themselves in doing this. So one of the things that they did to make sure that they didn't depress any employees is to provide transportation to and from work for the women that were employed with them. And then another thing is that another culture norm that they had to conform to was a time of Ramadan. Ramadan in the Muslim religion is a certain time of the year where those who participate in the religion cannot, they fast from sun up to sundown, and they can only work for 6 hours at a time. So for Schlumberger to conform to this accommodation, they offered something called a flex schedule, which is something that they've done globally, but it's really utilized in this region for this reason. Whereas in the United States, with us being such a melting pot of cultures and customs, we don't really customize or characterize people in large groups, but we recognize that individuals may just need certain accommodations. Another way that they contrast is their style of dress. In the U.S., especially with Peak Completions, it's business casual Monday through Thursday, And then after that, on Fridays, we have casual Fridays. Women are allowed to expose their face, their hair. They can have tattoos, piercings, crazy colors if they want to. Whereas in Saudi Arabia, the men are to wear a suit and ties at all times, so they have to, not only are expected to be intelligent, but they need to look intelligent as well. Colors are kept traditional and conservative. Women, again, same thing, business attire, conservative and neutral colors. And if their religion allows them to, then they are allowed to only expose their hands and their face. So there's usually a scarf that's required to wear at all times. And one of the main thing with peak completions is if you look in their employee handbook, they really don't address any of these things, but they do just ask that you are cleanliness. And another thing is formalities. Our text tells us that titles are an important way to show respect, and it's best to use them until you're invited to move to a first name basis, which is true for most companies, larger companies. However, it's not for peak completions. During a personal interview, our Associate General Counsel, Michael Barnhart, would describe our environment as collegial, probably messed up that word, where there's respect for those who hold authority and responsibility, but it's not expressed through formalities, but rather through trust and alignment. I can probably count on one hand how many people call the owner of the company Mr. Cope versus just Johnny Cope. So the respect's there because we know that he's the owner of the company, but it's not through Mr. or something like that. In Saudi Arabia, within the business, you're usually ranked by your job title, family members, and other factors, and they're usually addressed as such. So if you're in Saudi Arabia, you're Dr. so-and-so, Professor so-and-so, whereas if you are are visiting Saudi Arabia, whether you have a degree or not, it's usually just Mr. or Mrs. So in conclusion, we can conclude that that in the U.S., especially in the oil and gas industry, money is a major influencer. Where if you can show us the money, then we'll show you our time. Formalities aren't necessary, and they're not necessary to show respect. It's usually, just kind of a given based on your stature. Versus in Saudi Arabia, or it's for this company, the culture is religion is a big influence in this region, and so it really it influences everything in the business culture. And then businesses usually happen at a smaller pace, and relationships are emphasized largely, and formalities and titles are accentuated. Any questions? Any questions? Then that concludes my presentation.
All right.